businesses have filed and so far. But others have also called it an election year, where of course so many expectations are just going on in the country, and lots more is expected to be done as we just go on. Winding it up finally, where of course no complaints as of now. But let us see what happened yesterday. The attack on NUP offices. Bobi Wine and of course the NUP officials say that they have taken very many branding materials, including posters, berets, shirts, notebooks, and of course the CCTV cameras have been vandalized and the equipment of course taken away. Some comrades have been affected. Yesterday you saw people on the rooftops because they didn't want to be taken up by police or arrested, and other places like Machindie and different places were also raided to make sure that they take away everything that is red, and also the berets. The army and the police calls this the attack on them, saying that they're uniform, and of course things related to that they are not supposed to be put on by civilians. Actually, in the real statement, the police the police and the army came out to say that in a joint conference, saying that it was illegal for civilians to wear berets, matching outfits, plus the camouflage fatigues and boots similar to those of armed forces. But my biggest point here is, why would they break into offices, break down into locks, break down the doors, and even attack the office of the so-called, of course, the one of the aspiring presidents of Uganda? This is disrespect, and of course, plus something that I'm thinking as the attack on the country's democracy. Why would the government invade this? Because I knew if there was a proper or thorough check of the offices, some things would be recovered. But again, NRM also has colors. They do have the jackets, they do have the caps, and many of these. And I'm wondering if these are a little more different. Well, if they were looking for berets and maybe shoes and related to the army, why were they taking the red shirts, which are supposed to be just like a symbol of the party? So all those questions are just to be put down to these people. But the search operations were conducted also, just like I had earlier on mentioned, in different parts of the country, rather of Kampala, mostly Kamocha, Machindie, Chiembe, Mulago, Waise, and Kawempe. Now, let's look at this in perspective. Today, the nomination forms are expected to be back at the Electoral Commission. And of course, now the NUP and the people who are aspiring for different posts as the MPs, they do not have the nomination forms. These forms have been signed by a couple of Ugandans, millions of Ugandans, and these people, they do not have the forms right now. What is going to happen? Yesterday, Justice Byabakama had not confirmed the reasons why they had attacked the NUP offices. But now that we all know the reason why they did, we are wondering what will be happening. Will the Electoral Commission adjust on this, or they will create another way, another lie, just like we have received very many of them? Or it will be just like the case as usual? And my question is, what will be happening to the MPs who are aspiring to come on the NUP tickets? And if they are coming on this, will the nomination forms be necessary for them? Because time is already racing against them. Actually, they have a few hours to do this, and where they're going to be getting the signatures. And that will also be one of the biggest struggle NUP as a party is going to be facing. Bobi Wine says that over 23 million was stolen in the scuffle, but this money was meant to be paid in the nominations. What would they use it? What would they be using? Recently, Bobi Wine had launched a campaign to make sure that he collects the money for the people who are aspiring for different positions. But what I didn't like about his statement also is saying that the NRM government and Museveni at large, they just made this so difficult for them, and they increased the nomination fees to about 3 million. And this is one of the reasons he forwarded that the NUP didn't have a lot of money, because he said that President Museveni and the government had made this as just as large to make sure that the opponents, the opposition side, does not get an equal share. But I just thought that NUP is just a beginner, a party which is just beginning, and they do not have the money that's necessary. But I didn't see the reason why he had chosen Museveni of all this, and that has been one of my major problems with Bobi Wine mostly. Because if you are saying that the government has done this to make sure that the opposition does not come up to oppose the government, representing the different leaders, I think this is a lie. So Bobi Wine and his team all together should be focusing on one point, collecting this money. But again, they had collected this money and put it up together to help different people, and then it's already taken up by the government. So you would be thinking this is one of the major issues really creating a rift in the country. An attack on, democracy, just like I have called it, and also severe weaknesses here exposed by the government, and of course as expressed. But of course I do really expect more answers related to this, not just berets and the rest, because if you wanted berets, then you wouldn't be breaking down the doors and breaking down lockers to find more documents and take up more papers, because those are not berets. And those are just not mere uniforms. If you wanted this, you would have done it the other way. Now, Bobi Wine is expected, of course, to be talking more about this earlier on, because just as they are indicating, the CCTV cameras were vandalized fast, and of course a lot of equipment taken away. Some comrades, they say, of course, have been affected and held at Kira Road, a police station. Of course, they will be going to court also. And again, as if they have also been informed that more branding materials are so far taken up, but they have not been able to account for this. And they just want these people to abandon the mission that they are on. Those are not my words, but Joel Sonyonyi. But Joel Sonyonyi says that they are more stronger after these incidents, not weakened by these incidents. Bobi Wine, who is 38 years, became a popular figure in the country, of course, among the youth in his median age at about 16, when he started, of course, singing and acting. But, of course, after more than 30 years in power, Museveni, who is an old man, is the only president Bobi Wine has so far known, and he normally says that. But of course, 30 years are quite some time for the country. When all this was happening yesterday, lots of people were gathered. I was seeing police in the lines, and I was seeing people, of course, gathering to see what was happening, with the journalists covering the events. But they are forgetting about the social distancing. Many of them were not putting on the masks. The government has now so far recorded 10,069 COVID-19 cases, and only yesterday, just only yesterday, we got 124 new cases. Of course, with the recoveries in about 6,531 so far. And the contact alerts were about 122 for yesterday. In Kampala, 37 people were discovered, and in Luwero, about 24 people. In Chikube, about 13 also, and Rubanda 12, Hoima 7, Wakiso 4, Omoro 3, and of course Lira 4, Kisoro 2. And 2 of them were returnees from Jordan. So you'd be expecting more COVID cases to be coming up. But I just wonder, because if these 2 were returnees from Jordan and you expected to be having your results 72 hours before you travel, then where did these cases come from? And that shows how the country will just continue to carry on with more cases. Also, there is a big story that is happening at the borderlines, where the truck drivers are driving the officials and buying the COVID certificates to be tested negative. They are buying them between 50,000 and also they're buying them between 50,000 and 150. Where are these people getting the money to buy the results? All this is coming up as we just go on with the news. It's only 51 after 7. That makes it 9 to exactly 8. And at the top of the hour, we shall be having Wahab with some good piece of sporting. And then later after Wahab, we shall be having a winning success before we see Chantal. Stay with us this morning.